pick and ban here for this game number 1. I think this is going to tell us a lot. I think if T1 are drafting the same way that they were last time we saw them, HLE should be scared. Because that level of flexibility, that level of being able to get the right lane matchups across the Rift should certainly warrant some apprehension from HLE. But we'll see what does happen as the Camille going to be taken away from Zeus and from Delight. And the Bard also obviously going to be banned away from Carrier.
Earlier this week, taking the 2-0, having a great return after a small break with bluffing in. Nocturne's gone. Lucian banned here by T1 with first pick available for Hanwha Life Esports, not letting Guma get his hands on that. I think this will be banned in all 3 games, assuming we get 3.
Yep, would agree.
Orianna and Cassiopeia, 2 picks to potentially look at here.
And the Vi.
Vi, you know, you and I always worried about it, but it is Kanavi, and he has first pick here, so if he wants to take it, I don't think they'll ban it. They'll ban the Poppy here instead.
Okay.
And so if you ban Cassiopeia, they get Orianna. You could get the Vi in return. We'll see what they decide to do here. Galio's still available. They decide that it's best to not let Kanavi play Vi, which is, I think, a decision that most people are happy to make.
Yep.
But this means Zeka probably gets to play Cassiopeia if he prefers it to the Orianna.
Yeah, this is the scary part. No Snake Lady going to be banned away does mean that the Cassio is likely the ban here. A much harder matchup for the Lock to win as well, that Faker has been taken to Orianna quite successfully more recently. So we'll see what Hanwha Life Esports' idea is for this, as Cassio does seem like the safest of the options and will be locked in.
Yeah, I think they probably had a brief conversation about how they want to set up a comp around this Cassiopeia. This is going to give over the Ezreal to Pays, which is, you know, Pays best performing AD carry right now. I think probably on most people's minds as those votes are going out by the latest, the end of tonight for MVP. You know, he and Jovi right now are competing for that spot, I would say.
Yep.
Pretty crazy how
You just reminded me that I need to put my votes in.
Yeah, me too. I was like, well, we got to vote. I'm like, oh yeah, today's the last day. We got to put it in there. I always wait till the very end of the last day so we have all the information.
Yep. Definitely the way to do it.
See what this is going to be. Maybe a jungle pick here for Kanavi. Could go for the Lee Sin since they have the Cassiopeia on their side, and that is what he is looking at.
I like it. I also like prioritizing the top side of the map, as that is a Vayne.
I thought we were going to potentially just see the blind Olaf instead, since they can protect it, but blind Vayne feels unnecessary.
I also think it's just a shout out to Doran, who has been playing it quite a lot.
Something to consider is, because they went for the Karma, they need Engage, and a lot of that comes from the top lane when you are going for this Karma early in the draft, and so many of those top lane picks are countered by the Vayne in lane.
Wow!
And also the Jace.
What? Why do you blind? I know it's Zeus, so that's why you blind Jace, but they can just lock Olaf. And there is not a whole lot of repercussion. Does mean that Ona wouldn't be able to get a Skarner, I guess, and the Orianna would go away. And so they do prioritize the Orianna instead. But, okay. That was a gambit, and they were very lucky that they got away with it, I think.
Yeah, we'll see what the game plan is here. Maybe Doran has, Doran and Owner have some different idea about how they want to play the style. I think Jarvan is probably the first ban you want to get off the table here with the Orianna available, and then probably the Olaf will follow. That does mean Doran gets to play Yorick. He's been a very good Yorick player. So you have to make some pretty tough choices, like you said, with the blind Jace here.
Yeah, I think it's Olaf 100%. And I don't really like the Ziggs ban. I don't think the Ziggs ban is all that necessary. Ziggs has been not all that powerful. I think Caitlyn going to be a much bigger one, a much bigger threat here for them to worry about.
They do go for the Jarvan first, but I do agree with you that the Olaf is probably the next consideration. Nautilus gone. So taking a lot of engage away now. There's no Vi, obviously there's no Camille. This Ezreal is pretty free to move around and very difficult to engage on him, right? They don't have anything outside of a Lee Sin to get on top of him at the moment. So Olaf would really open this composition up quite heavily. They may consider a Yorick ban, but I really think the Olaf is better.
Yep.
But what is the engage now for T1? Do they end up playing something like Ambessa into the Jace, which is really going to struggle? It's Zeus, it's Jace.
I think you can also just grab Skarner and then drive him into the enemy team, and that can kind of be your engage.
That's a good point, and it is very tanky into this comp. So if you go for the Cassante, you've already got that frontline pseudo engage, and then the Skarner does feel like a really nice follow-up. But they have, the way they've drafted this makes me feel like they have some sort of backup plan here.
Let's see what Guma decides to go with. If it's Jhin, we might get 12 Jhin losses in a row.
This is not a Jhin draft in any way, shape, or form. You do not have a front line to play the Jhin through.
Look, I was okay with the draft until the Jhin was locked.
You and I had a discussion about this off camera, and I said if there's a player to play, it will be Guma, and probably it'll happen in game 1. But I did not expect it with a draft like this. As let's see what Delight wants to play. They need some sort of engage. They have no Nos. Is he going to play Leona? He's going to play Alistar.
Wow. So this lane will be basically unplayable at the beginning of the game. We'll see how much FaZe and Keria can push it forward. Obviously, Jhin can farm relatively safely, but this is called let's hope topside wins.
Does he seem so unhappy about what he's about to do?
Well, why does he seem so happy about what he's about to do?
He's going to play Skarner. No.
Xin Zhao's fun with the counter.
He's a Xin enjoyer.
He is.
Perhaps the best Xin in the world. And he's going to lock it in. And now this front line's pretty robust. There isn't necessarily hard engage in this draft, but they have a front line that can act as such and empower the Orianna Shockwave. So I do like this draft a lot. I think the team fighting power for Hanwha Life Esports is kind of awkward to define because they don't have a front line. They have some poke, but also the core of their consistent damage is a Cassiopeia that's low range with only an Alistar for front line. On top of the fact that this bottom lane is going to need a lot of help to get out of the laning phase, and the mid lane, pretty volatile matchup there. We have seen the Cassiopeia beat the Orianna on occasion. Depends on how the matchup plays. It's a fairly even matchup, but it is volatile. Top side, K'Sante and the Jace should have prio there, so maybe they could play through that and just leave Guma on an island. That is basically the entire game plan for 90% of HLE drafts, which is what Guma is so good at, but it is going to be a tough few levels, and we'll see how much damage gets done in the early times for FaZe, because FaZe is the kind of guy, he gets ahead, he takes over the whole game.
Yeah, this is the problem that I have, is that T1's comp is so incredibly easy to understand, right? You just play behind your K'Sante and your Xin Zhao, you get the shockwaves happening at the right times, and Ezreal stays safe. HLE a little bit more finesse. All right, here we are, ladies and gentlemen. Onto the rift for game number 1. T1 versus HLE, the battle for second place. You get out of playing a full series by winning this one. It's actually kind of crazy what's on the line here for both of these teams.
Not to mention, if there's a meta shift, you have all that extra time to study it, get more information about your opponents. There's so many reasons why it's important. And I think that even if this was a no-stakes match and there wasn't an Alistar in the game, because he's kind of, I think, going to be stake at this level 1 fight here, I think they would play this matchup incredibly seriously because it's a precursor to what will likely be a best of 5 at some point between these two as we move into our double elimination playoff bracket.
Yep. Something that Zeus has already said publicly is wanting to put their best foot forward, considering the fact that this is very likely to be something that they will repeat moving further into the playoffs.
With both these teams as good as they are, if you want to lift trophies, you're going to have to go through them.
Yep. To be the best, you got to beat the best. All right, Keria going to get headbutted back. This is obviously just going to be T1 with a whole bunch of control. Right now, Kamiushi and Delight are doing a decent job being able to at least contest the wave somewhat. But that will just change as this game goes on. Faker taking a lot of damage here from Zeka, something that we've seen in this matchup many times.
A lot of CS lost
yeah,
there.
This is a bunch of those, unfortunately.
Kanavi is going to come over here at level 3 to try to fix this lane. There is a ward, though, in the river.
Oh, the flash pulp does come out. Now Kanavi makes his way over. FaZe gonna get tagged, waits, and then puts down the resonating strike, and that means that the flash and the exhaust have to be expended.
Yeah, very expensive here for T1 to survive this play, but they do survive it nonetheless. And Summoner Spells being down here for FaZe won't mean much unless Kanavi comes back. So I think that this is still overall a win here for T1 because FaZe survives. They get to retain control of that lane. Delight now doesn't have Flash. Does have Hex Flash, of course, but he only gets to make that Flash play happen once in the 2v2. He's done that now. They didn't secure the kill, and Guma is just going to have to weather the storm now.
Well, we'll see how well he's going to be able to do it, as we already have FaZe going for a bit of a recall, wants to start stacking up that tier, I would assume. As Doran taking way too much damage. The flash from Zeus, and he just picks up the solo first blood. Oh dear, I have a feeling that Zeus has decided to get that DNA test, and it came back negative for Doran.
No! Oh, it's too early, but in this early game, certainly looking much better. I remember the last time Doran beat Zeus on Father's Day. I tweeted about it, but I was not the first and not the last. It was
Certainly not.
A lot of fun on that one. As Faker will recover in this lane, but lost a lot of farm, as mentioned before. So here for Zeus, as soon as he is able to activate his W in ranged form here, watch this. Comes back from cooldown, he's like, I flash and I kill him. And Doran thinks he's not gonna flash for it, so he just walks away.
Just
if Doran
no
flashes,
reaction.
Yeah, if Doran flashes first, then he can't make that play, obviously, but then Doran would be down flash, so
and
Doran
it's also, he has to flash early preemptively, right?
Yes.
Because a flash auto is so hard to flash away from.
Yeah.
Especially in gun form, right? For Zeus. So
exactly.
Really nicely played by Zeus there, but Doran really needed to respect the lethal that was being presented.
Now Doran does have flash advantage and is in.
Oh, nice flash there from Ona. Zeus is extremely dead.
So it comes at a cost.
Yep.
You know, you use your flash for that play, you don't have it to escape the gank. And he came in at an angle that I guess Zeus just did not expect. He had the ward in the river, a ward in that topside brush, but obviously wasn't able to see the Xin just walk through lane and get on top of him. I mentioned earlier the fact that Paze is down summoners is very meaningless right now, so he's still going to win this lane. Unless, like I said, Kanavi comes back for a second pass, but Delight doesn't have the flash to engage, so Kanavi will have to show first.
Yeah, not having this Tri-Brush vision is quite difficult. And Delight gets on over there, looks to set up something that he can find. Kanavi just going to go back home, though. And as it stands, it's not exactly a gigantic lead for Paze or anything like that towards that bottom side.
The Doran comes over here at this timing where the wave is pushed up. They don't have vision of owner, of course, at all. And he flashes to extend the wind, becomes lightning to get on top of this Jace. He picks up the kill. And Zeus finds himself now 1-1 after what was such a great start with his initial flash play.
Yeah, still going to be ahead in the lane because Ona did pick up the kill, but T1 overall going to be feeling a whole lot better here in this game. And I think as far as T1 are concerned, they probably just want to weather the storm, right? This is about getting yourself to these team fights later on in the game where your composition is going to be able to thrive. Ona can be extremely powerful in this game. He's got Command Protect, he's got Inspire, like shields are going to be coming out of everywhere, and he will be able to deliver the Orb of Death to HLE. They get themselves in an even game state at any point. Is Gumayusi now going to be taken for a walk here? Slowed down, snared, and now Paze able to lay down the damage, but Gumayusi just stands his ground and will be all right.
This is what Paze and Carrier are so good at. Paze is like, yeah, I don't have my exhaust back, I don't have flash. Kanavi's here. But guess what? If you guys want to extend the play, Owner's going to come down, and we have so much control. There's no flash on Delight, so we can just keep pushing the advantage, and Guma steps just that one little bit too far forward, gets rooted, takes a bunch of health, loses his barrier. And that's the kind of pressure you want to be looking for in this Karma Ezreal lane, because you know there's a big cost to picking this up. You need to win early, and that is exactly what they are doing. By the way, Paze close to, on this next wave, hitting level 6, so Guma is, without mana, I think definitely wants to back now. Doesn't have his barrier anymore, and we'll need to respect this really hard push.
Yeah, this should be a big advantage being built by T1 towards the bottom side, but Kanavi going to get over towards this Dragon, look to take that one down first.
Faker backed, so he's not going to be able to come over here and challenge for Prio. So that is a really nice timing he finds here, despite the fact that his bottom lane isn't even here. He's still going to be able to get this Dragon through the Cassiopeia power. So a huge win for Kanavi here, actually, in what was an otherwise tough bottom lane. You don't get to see this too often, but with the control that Zeka has right now, he can definitely make the push happen.
Yep, level 6 is for both of our junglers, though, as Ona picks his up on the Grump. And that Dragon is going to give it over to Kanavi as Faker straight back to the lane, straight back to half health, as Zeka is pretty scary, especially now with his Catalyst completed. Doran just continuing to take too much damage here from Zeus. This guy's case is still very good, Wolf. That's what I'm discovering here. This is obviously very new information. Yeah. Zeus, Jace good.
It's just a reminder for those who might not have been aware of it.
Yep.
Still, Gasante will be able to get this lane and be relevant later on. Can even turn this matchup around with a little bit of help, as we saw earlier from Owner. Speaking of Owner, he is going to come over here. Guma still has flash. but does not have an Alistar. The Alistar was very far up trying to make a play onto Faker to get his flash. So Guma, see if he can outplay this without barrier. Kanavi is coming over. They're going to see him, and I think they're going to nope out of this whole exchange. They're going to get the TP, though.
Yeah, Delight just going to teleport back with his Unsealed Spellbook. And so that should mean that Gumyushi is out of the woods for the moment. Zeka not going to have vision here in this brush. Faker still just getting poisoned.
That was really scary. If Faker was thinking he was going to Shock Blast defensive or Shockwave defensively, there could have been flashed by Zeka. He's got Ghost. Guma's in trouble.
Yeah, True Shot Barrage doing a lot of work here as Delight only level 5. So he is definitely a target. And Owner is like, all right, guys, if you're going to be doing that much work, I'm going to come back.
Well, that's the other thing is this traps Delight in this lane. When Delight roamed, they were like, you got to come back down here. He had to TP back over. They need his help.
Oh dear, Pathmaker does come out once again. The all-out here from Doran looking to try and rip Zeus apart. The flash and the return solo kill. Never mind. We're going to need to see that paperwork again.
Just like I said before, you know, this matchup can turn. If you make a mistake, you will get punished, and that is exactly what Doran looked for there. Had the follow flash, almost was able to take Zeus out without it. Zeus flashed at the last possible second, forcing him to react. Now, Kanavi still does end up getting all 3 grubs, so that's pretty huge for the side of HLE. They don't have a crazy side lane composition or anything like that, but Doran's in the brush here, uses the ward to get some damage down, but then steps too far forward. When the Pathmaker comes through, he gets all outed. The damage here is just too much. Bit of disrespect here from Zeus.
Yeah, just flashes in, and as soon as the flash is on cooldown, he knows that he is dead, basically. Nicely played there by Doran as Carrier, looking to come on over and help Faker out. Looks like Faker is okay, and obviously, even if this lane is difficult at the beginning, Orianna will be Orianna as the game goes on.
Yeah, I mean, this is a pretty nice lead for Zeka and allowed them to get both objectives. His prio has been really massive, really quietly, very important for HLE this game. Doran likes this wave right where it is.
Yeah, this Cassante is going to become a big issue.
He's a whole level ahead.
Yeah, as this game goes on, the Jace doesn't win this more. That's not how this works. Doran is just going to become a brick wall that Zeus will not be able to get through. Once the first few items do come in, it's likely going to be the Iceborne Gauntlet into a Jack Shows or something like that here for Doran. And even Zeus and Kanavi together will have a real tough time getting through this guy. But Clips is now done here for Kanavi. We've got a Rod of Ages completed here for Zeka. And I do think that HLE in this first team fight are going to look pretty powerful, especially with this Lee Sin.
Yeah, I think it's all about the setup, right? Right now, Delight wrapping around here, looking for a little bit of prio, but the Dragon is not up for a while.
Oh, there's the flash. Pulverizes Carrier, just going to get himself out of there. Delight with the Unbreakable Will does get knocked up by the 3-Talon Strike, is now Crescent Guard to try and keep Owner safe. True Shot Barrage comes on over, but Owner is already dead in this one. Pays still trying to fire down the damage as Kanavi has to flash to break those chains. Now Delight has the ultimate wearing off though as Pays Arcane shifts to get out of the way, and now Carrier should be going down, and Zeka picking up a solo kill on the top side, and HLE, they come alive here in this mid-game.
Huge wins in this fight. Pays now in trouble.
Yeah, it's not over yet. There's the exhaust on Guma, and the turret is going to get his barrier at least. But still going to be another kill over to HLE.
Doran is getting a lot of work done here on the top side of the map since he was left alone there. Zeus matching it, though, in the mid lane. And T1 just opted in disrespectfully to this fight. Remember, Dragon isn't even up, and they could have just walked away, but look at where Delight is right now. It's something that Delight has talked about pretty publicly after being subbed out for bluffing twice, right, is that he wants to play aggressively, he wants to trust Kanavi when he makes the calls to fight more often. He does, in this fight, initially have his ultimate to buy a bunch of space here, and then just continues to push through. Kanavi backs up here, flashes the root, and then he goes back in, trusting that Guma has the damage, and Pays is just pushed away as Zeka, as you said, gets the win here on the top side onto Faker. Would have been dead no matter what. Faker there with the Jace that was also pushing mid. And then here they set up the aggro juggle pretty nicely. And even with the exhaust, it's just too much damage.
And T1 are going to be rewarded with a Dragon after everything is said and done. So that is going to be good news for them. But now Pays getting set up on one more time. Zeus towards his top side is very dangerous. And Delight, he goes in once again. Has the ultimate running, can tank up this turret for any amount of time that he wants. That is the kick to secure the kill onto Pays. Kanavi 3-0-1 on this Lee Sin.
It's a 3,000 gold lead, just like that. 2 dives in the bottom lane. after a really poor team fight for T1, and HLE are starting to run away with it. You give this team an inch, they take a mile when it comes to that early tempo. And Guma, who spent the entire early game hiding under turret, weathering the storm against this Karma Ezreal, is now completely online. Finishes his role quest right before this play, so picks up that 300 gold. Is going to get the route here onto Pays, who has no summoners. Kanavi ultimately picks up the kill here. But this is a great moment here for HLE, where they're able to really solidify their position. Hubris picked up for Guma.
Wow.
As his starting first item here, hoping that he's going to snowball this game. We very rarely see that picked up. I mean, I can't remember the last time I did.
And honestly, I'm here for it. I don't think anything could be worse than the current normal build for the Jhin. So any sort of change is welcome, in my opinion. So we'll see whether that hubris is going to be rewarded or punished here in this game. 2.8k is the advantage, though, and so far, things are looking great. It is an Ocean Soul, so not the most pivotal of souls here in this game. And Pays does manage to get his Trinity Force online. Still looking for some shoes and that Muramana to be really happy on the Ezreal. And T1, they really do just need to batten down the hatches and make sure that they can regain what control they can find. But this tower is just going to go down.
Yeah, it's just dead. Huge win here without Herald. Herald's not even spawned yet. And now, I mean, T1 are really struggling to get control anywhere on the map with the lead that HLE have. And when you look at these two comps, like you're saying, the Weather of the Storm, I think a lot of people are thinking, but Cassiopeia scales too. Well, we're talking about just 5v5s. That's where T1 is going to be good in fair fights. But if the gold elite is 4,000 when we get to those quote-unquote fair fights, it's not really fair, is it?
No.
As T1, we're hoping to just front to back here. As here comes Faker looking for a play on the Zeka. Nice sidestep.
Yeah, good zoning orb there as well, as Zeka is forced into some alcove gaming. A teleport in from the Jace as there's Wind Becomes Lightning, the Shockwave, and Zeka will be going down. And even though Zeus did teleport in, it's not going to be enough in order to save their mid laner. So there is one back here for T1, but not too much more can be gleaned from this.
Yeah, 3 ults committed to the play, as well as a flash from Owner, so pretty expensive. Well, they're also able to get the TP from Zeus there right before this Rift Herald spawn, so now they have the numbers advantage here. Guma can make a large impact here even without joining the fight, though, and Doran is pretty low, so this is a fairly tough secure here for T1, but they do have a huge advantage.
Yeah, 5 versus 4. You're not going to take that as HLE. So Shelly now going to be employed. No deadly flourish for the steal. Yeah, I mean, honestly, he's Gumayushi. He's, I think he's supposed to do that. Not going to be successful this time around. That is a massive grenade. My goodness. I heard it was dancing. That looks like it's doing something a little bit more dangerous.
Stomping.
Than
dancing. Maybe. As we're going to watch this play again, they get the speed up here with the heal to get Faker to close the gap so Zeka can't retreat to the right side here. He goes for the alcove gaming to get to buy time for the TP to come over and try to save him, but Owner just does too much damage. Commits the Crescent Guard even here just to make sure they get the true shot through. It doesn't actually land, but they wanted to make sure they get through everything in the kitchen sink, get Zeka to kill him and secure Herald, and now they have it.
Oh, and now Zeus in a bit of trouble here as well, as Carrier looking to snare him. Does find the Shockwave there to Faker, and now just another round of spells, and Zeus will be dead. Nice little hammer boot back, as there is the Q and the flash forward from Faker to make sure that they lock down the kill. T1 get yet another one on the other solo laner of HLE.
Now, no cross map here on the door, and he's just too tanky, and Kanavi wasn't here yet. Owner is also nearby with his Crescent Guard back available. They may be able to wear this turret down, but I think that is the best they can hope for. I think a dive is out of the question. Faker also got this turret incredibly low. Will be able to, with his next wave, take it out with no recourse. Guma walking into the jungle here.
Yeah, Carrier is going to find him. I do kind of like Guma's odds, though, as far as the 1v1 is concerned. Pays not going to overcommit into this one as the Deadly Flourish does go wide, but Kanavi's making his way over. Q connects onto Pays. Let's see whether he can get himself out of here as the curtains do get called. Carrier and Pays so incredibly low. They line up behind Owner, though, and he is able to tank it up and keep them alive.
I just love watching sequences of play like that where you can tell both Carrier and Guma, former teammates, look at each other and they're like, oh yeah, I win this. My teammates are coming.
Yeah,
they're both looking at each other saying, my new team is here. And everybody shows up, but ultimately HLE do win the bout. Nobody dies. But just both teams so quick to rotate over and save those who are in a pretty ambiguous fight there. Guma's ult is down now. Pays gets his back up right before this dragon fight, so T1 in a somewhat advantageous position because of that. Kick also gone here for Kanavi, and they lose Prio.
Yep, I feel like Owner just feels very strong right now. You can see he's playing well and truly on the front foot. has that level 2 on that Crescent Guard as well and has it back up and available once again. Everyone with their ultimates. No kick, though, for HLE, and no curtain call for Gumayusi. Slight advantage here, you could say, for T1, even though they are still 2,000 gold behind, as Kanavi getting whittled down. True Shot Barrage flies through, and HLE, they do have some poke options, but T1 are winning the poke war right now. Delight and Kanavi both sitting at 50% health as Shelly is going to get employed. And it's Doran that decides to drive her in. There's the shockwave, connects onto Guma. Shelly knocks him up, and down goes the 80 carry. And can they actually get enough of a siege onto this turret, or can they just fall back and take double dragon?
I think they're going to look for the second dragon of the game here, and Guma just unfortunately not able to flash on the play there. They were waiting, I mean, the whole time before they look for that shockwave play, they're just constantly moving the ball forward, so it's hard for HLE to close the gap. And without kick for Kanavi, there's no sort of flash or flank angle he can employ to try to get past the phalanx of this front line for T1. And this is the scaling. This was the sit back and wait for 5v5s we were talking about. If you get set up with Prio, then you can just poke your way to a victory. And Guma just walks way too far forward here. It doesn't make sense, frankly. He gets caught by the shockwave there. The wind becomes lightning. And then finally, after shockwave, the Herald, which crashes through him, and down he goes. And that's a free dragon for T1 in tow, their second of the game.
And I think HLE, they really do need to hard commit way earlier than that, right? And start using all of this displacement that they have available to themselves. Headbutt, massive. They've even got the hammer on Zeus as well to move people around. They can get picks pretty comfortably utilizing that. The kick being available would obviously be a huge benefit to them. But I think HLE just need to be proactive with the way that they play. And we know that's exactly how this team wants to play things out. But we needed to see it a little bit more there, because otherwise, Paze just throws Mystic shots, and there just doesn't seem to be much of a recourse.
Honestly, I kind of feel like HLE, after that skirmish where Kanavi lost his kick and with the setup T1 had, they really just were up a creek without a paddle. There wasn't much they could do there, and they kind of tried to do it anyways slowly and lost a bunch of health, and then Guma dies as here's proactivity.
All right. They do manage to at least snare the cow, but Kerry just puts his flash on cooldown without too much of a response. Zeka not going to be able to break that crystalline overgrowth. In goes HLE. Kanavi looking for a bit of an angle as they get on top of Ona. There's a good knock up onto the cow, but the Unbreakable Will is going to be there. And Kanavi does at least get on top of him. Doesn't actually
Doran
use
flanked, though.
The kick. And now Doran, looking to make his way in. Ona is completely out of this fight, though. This is a real difficult one, as now Doran doesn't get the Pathmaker forward. Does have an orb now to try and keep him alive. Flashes in. There's the shockwave. Just using it to deliver, and the Petrifying Gaze is fantastic, just not quite enough. Kanavi goes in though and kills 3 with a Tempest. My God! The value from this Lee Sin in that moment, absolutely gigantic. And HLE, they're gonna now look for a Baron.
Yeah, that was such a close fight. Doran's TP, when I saw it initially, I was a little bit confused by it because he went all the way to that control ward just below the top lane. And I was like, well, it's going to take him a while to get in. It certainly did, but when he did show up, he just didn't really get that much done. Eventually, the shockwave was employed, but the answering ultimate from Zeka did so much damage there. And then basically, Kanavi just walks in, slams the ground, and picks up a triple. As you look at where Doran TPs to at the beginning of this fight, he's way, 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 way far away. Like, it's a good angle to be unseen because it's control vision in a brush. But they're losing so much control. They lose the Crescent Guard. Kanavi gets low, but how do you actually fight this out now as T1? They're hoping, waiting for that Doran flank. When he gets here, he doesn't hit Guma. That was the target he was looking for. He gets pushed away here, and eventually he's able to set up for this shock wave. But there's not enough damage, and then watch Zeka set up for this.
Man.
Guma hits the follow-up, and then Kanavi goes in and just takes them all out.
That was crazy amounts of damage. Let's see it one more time as he elects to hop into the shockwave there momentarily.
Crazy.
That was absurd.
How calm he is in this moment as well.
And now they have the Baron up and available, only Zeka without it because he died in that last fight. And this is a huge lead now, only to be extended. It is an early Baron, so it may not necessarily get them that much value, but certainly good signs for the future. And I want to go back to the discussion we were having, right? That's the type of fight that HLE need in order for things to go well, right? The chaos that you can play around, the ability to just turn on a dime in any of these moments. and they find it there.
If Doran's flank was successful and he was able to catch Guma and they could burst Guma down, I feel like it could have worked, right? The way that T1 wanted to play that, but because it did not, sure they got the shockwave, but speaking of, oof.
A bit of a hula hoop there for Faker, unfortunately. Hula hoop worn by no one.
Bush was wearing the hula hoop, I guess.
Yeah, there we go.
Ocean Soul Bush.
He will have that one up and available once again relatively soon. Has a couple of items already completed. Speaking of a couple of items, there's the upgrade for the Muramana Pays. I mean, and immediately the Manamune.
Is such a strong Jhin. Like, the fact that you're looking at a 1,000 gold lead here after the triple and 6 kills on the Lee Sin is something that if it was just him, you'd be like, but it's a Lee Sin? I don't know if that matters. It kind of matters in this game with this draft, but also there are 2 other problems. The extremely fed Jace, and here comes the light.
Oh dear, yeah, Faker's in a lot of trouble. No shockwave, no chance, and now Ona has to use the Crescent Guard to avoid dying to the Curtain Call. Gumayusi will be able to get rid of this inner turret now. True Shot Barrage does a little bit of damage, but Zeus is getting rid of inner turrets elsewhere on the map as well. 30 seconds until Faker is even back up and available. And T1 need to try and keep their base standing. Kanavi and Delight, the kill squad, moving over towards this mid lane, and Carrier's going to get caught out, obliterated with all this damage. And in goes Zeus, dives on top of Doran. Once again doing a lot of damage here as well. The poison still ticking down and Pays. You're not going to be able to defend this one, buddy. HLE going to be able to take the inhibitor. And this snowball is well and truly a-rolling.
Yeah, I don't know if there's much coming back in this one here for T1 now. True Shot Barrage is about to be up, but even if he hit all 5 of them, I think they'd still just laugh and then do Dragon. It is up right now and will be the second. We'll put us at 2-2. Moving past that fight. Looks like Kanavi backed early, grabs his GA, so he's not on this one just yet, so it won't go over instantly. But look at how much control they have. I mean, HLE want to end the game right now. They're almost able to. End up just bursting down this Orianna. And then Keria, he's got his flashback here, but he's just moving really far forward, trying to impact this play. He wants to defend. See, the True Shot Barrage is pretty weak, and he goes in on the Zeus. And watch the follow-up here. Gets rooted by Guma. That's it.
Yep.
Done. He has, just nothing he can do there. He's super squishy. And T1 are really falling apart at the seams here. And this is what Hanwha does. This is what Hanwha has done all year. Is you look at a draft, you look at the situation, and you're like, I don't know if this really works. Does this even really make sense? And Hanwha Life Esports just fight their way to make it make sense every time. They are the team that will scrap every time, will outplay you, run circles around you in those early team fights, pick up a huge lead, and say, who cares about your scaling? Who cares about your robust front line? Your Ezreal poke, it's not going to matter. We're just going to run you down. We're going to be so far ahead. It doesn't matter what we're playing.
Yeah, and it looks fantastic when they do it as well. I'll tell you what, though, I'm very impressed by Gumayusi and Delight and how they played out the lane. Obviously, they got Kanavi to come down a couple of times, but this was one of these games where it could have just fallen apart very early if Pays and Keria kind of took over, and they've been known to do so. As Kanavi gets pulled back by a shockwave, the kick to get Ona away, though, that is going to disengage the play.
Pretty good trade here.
Yeah, Delight's teleported in.
As they got the flash out of Kanavi, they got the kick out just for the Orianna shockwave. See if they can turn into a follow-up here, as the mid lane is starting to knock on the door here for T1, so there's a bit of a timer on how much they can actually try to be aggressive here.
Yeah, 45 seconds until the Baron. That's why HLE are lurking around this area of the map. T1 looking like they still have a bit of fight left in them, but this game is going to be so difficult to come back from.
And they still have a really good team fight comp, but the fact that Kanavi is going to have his kick back up here, has GA, so you have to kill him twice, that's a problem in itself. Trying to catch Guma, they almost got him with that crazy Doran flank, but he's just so long range that he doesn't care. As they're looking for Zeus.
Yeah, speaking of Doran flanks, there's another shockwave to connect onto Zeus, and he is just dead. And Doran had made his way in, but wasn't even required in that play.
And because he TP'd to try to escape and get shockwaved, he doesn't have TP to rejoin. So this Baron attempt here is just dead in the water now for HLE. They're not going to be able to start this one up.
Oh dear, unless Faker is taken down. There's Miasma going, and Zeker is just going to chase him down. Great kick, and the immediate punish as Faker is taken out just after Zeus. So a 4v4, it just doesn't feel even now.
Yeah, that was wild.
Oh, another Q going to connect here from Kanavi as Keria speeds himself up, doesn't find that Sonic Wave, as now Pays looking for some damage, but honestly, this Ezreal is being pretty muted. in this mid to late game so far.
I mean,
Needs to be able to find more damage.
Baker dying there just took all the wind out of the sails.
Flash ever hold from Delight. Crescent Guard is fantastic though to break this one up, but FaZe is still just dead. No options there at all, and Owner is just gonna get turned into mincemeat. Doran trying to pick a target, but Zeka is just gonna run circles around this Cassante. Zayas turns up, brings the hammer down, and I think, ladies and gentlemen, that was the end of the game.
It is. In a sub 30-minute game, HLE are gonna take a dominant Game 1 here. There was a bit of a save on the play from Doran there, but Baker just walks into a jungle with no vision and gets blown up, and the game is completely over now.
Yeah, Carrier taking a lot of damage. Gumiushi doesn't find the Deadly Flourish, but he will find the Nexus turrets, and he will save Jhin from a 12-in-a-row loss streak. It stops at 11, ladies and gentlemen, as HLE do take Game 1. It's just, it's Gumiushi, it's the magic.
This comp just never really got to a point where it could stabilize here for T1. They had a pretty okay early mid. They were able to put a dent in the gold lead there for HLE with that really cool team fight. Doran's flank, though, was a failure, and then HLE had so much control over the map from then on. They had to just look for desperate plays over and over again, and it just didn't matter.
Well, I think how 먹고 시야 지우면서 하자 같이. 파란 필요 없고. 내가 먹을게 이거. 아, 너 CW 있어? 봐봐. 네, 봐줘. 이제. 좋아. 이거 싸우고 가야 돼. 싸우고.
끝날 거 없어.
한테 맞을 사람. 한테. 얘 카시 와줘. 카시 와줘.
왔어. 완전. 레이스가 잡아라. 내가 우리. 한번 해보자.
알리사 쉣.
나이스.
산테 형 너무 세다. 나이스 잘했다.